no doubt. But you look at the percentage of Indian consumers that are paying for content online versus, let's say, the US, where the ecosystem, the infrastructure, is much further along. That's where I think the difference is, and that's why I think Hotstar is smart to launch free. I do think that you'll see Hotstar move into original programming at some point, and that becomes their paid layer, right? Once they start to develop exclusive content that's only available there.
That was my next question.
Yeah, that's what I think will happen, right? Hotstar is still a library. It's a library content play, right? And it's a good library, and that's why people adopted it in a big way. But there's no reason to think Hotstar is not going to follow the same formula Netflix did. And look, it takes time to get programming right. Netflix, people don't realize Netflix was making shows for 4 years before House of Cards. They didn't just start and then House of Cards happened, and all of a sudden they're off and running. 4 years they were making original shows and trying to hone in and get it right and find their audience. Amazon was making content for 5 years before Transparent. So these things don't happen overnight, and I do think, that's where Hotstar will go, and they'll eventually get it right. They'll figure out their brand, their audience, what is them. Netflix now knows that, they're a premium adult brand in terms of shows they do. Amazon is playing more the art house brand, right, with really sort of non-traditional fare. Hotstar will figure out what their brand is on a exclusive content side. But it takes time, and that's when I think the paid ecosystem of that emerges.
I just think that in the West, a lot has been done with talent, actors, directors, sort of being promoters of digital along with advertising brands, and that really hasn't kicked in. And the one reason why Hotstar is really shining with 25 million uniques coming in the first 2 months is because not only do they have talent promoting it with the marketing, but it's their own brand, and they put that brand behind, getting this out. And I don't know if you've ever seen where what you did with Facebook, that was your Facebook page, you're reaching out to your fans in a social environment. How was that entire experience for you, so that anybody here who wants to sort of even go down that path, was that, more than just the release of the film, does the joy of connecting with the user in this digital space, because it's very integral to actually making it work?
I mean, I liked, one of the things I liked about it was that I was empowered. I was distributor and exhibitor and producer all rolled up in one, and that's what made me think, oh wow, okay, there's a future here. If, I'm still small in number compared to so many other stars. Imagine if they got onto this. You said if Hotstar is 25 million, there are actors who have 40 million followers behind them. You know what I mean? One person alone. So the potential is huge. And when I traveled around the States, I had lots of people amongst the NRI community saying, why don't we create more off-beat stuff? Why don't we see more off-beat stuff? I'm like, well, traditionally, the NRI audience is known to go for formula films, and they don't believe that they want to see anything else. And that made me think, again, coming back to marketing and promotion, is like, while it's good, in India they're aware, perhaps some time has to be invested and some money has to also be invested in also exploring it within the community abroad, so that they know that while they will get their traditional films in a traditional distribution space, they can get their non-traditional films in a non-traditional platform. And a little bit of that awareness, just a little bit of that awareness will go a long way.
Alright, so I'm going to sum it up real quick. There are huge challenges with infrastructure. There are challenges with Windows that more and more people are experimenting with. There are challenges with the kind of content and how to reach the user. We're looking at payment gateways, coming in with Paytm and everything changing. We're looking at content creators looking at digital audiences very, very uniquely and trying to reach them with new technology like a Hotstar. And there's a lot more happening. So what I'm going to do now is just open it to the house and, take questions. Go ahead. Mic to you. Go ahead.
Hi, Abhay. My question is to you. Basically, I work for an OTT platform called School.com, and we actually released your movie 1x2 after a couple of weeks of you releasing the movie online. My question to you is that how do independent producers tackle this dilemma of whether to make their movie available online on the same day or with a shorter window, or probably wait for a lucrative satellite deal, because nowadays satellite channels are also craving in internet rights as well. So how do you see the future of independent producers? Because it seems that almost all of the independent producers currently who produce movies, they all are facing this dilemma as to, they keep saying
question. As far as the day and date is concerned, I went with that, like I said, because I wasn't getting a foreign theatrical in any case. So there was no conflict over there. I knew I had theatrical in India, and even I, as an independent producer, felt, oh, I don't think I want it available online in India while my film is playing in the theaters. But then when I spoke to some people who live in the US, for example, one lady told me, well, your film is released, it's 3 hours away in the cinema, so I'm going to buy a pirated DVD. So maybe a day and date of my movie in foreign territories makes sense, because I know that I have a limited number of screens abroad. Whereas in India, maybe I should wait, even I haven't figured that formula yet. Because I feel that, okay, maybe a week of theatrical, because people have access to the cinemas much more easily here, because there's so many more cinemas playing my film, whereas abroad they don't. That's one thing. Second thing is, I think, as we were discussing, some of the problems we're facing is infrastructure, and one of my questions also was like, okay, so if you're providing content for free, then when do we start creating original content so that you can expand your base, like a Netflix eventually went to, and then would you then invest in an independent producer? Because I'm ready to give you stuff. But I know that traditionally, if I'm not making something traditional, I don't have investors in the traditional space. So perhaps if you've cracked that formula, then you will be able to invest in me, and I will give you that content you want. I already have a fan base, I already have people asking me for original, independent stuff. And I think once they crack the formula, then it'll eventually, if independent producers are willing to go with them, and take that chance, more and more of the non-traditional independent stuff will be made, right? To that?
Yep, go ahead. Can you state your name and where you're from, please?
Naman.
Yeah, my name is Naman. I cover South Asia for a publication called Variety. So it's a question about price point for Abhay and Eric. Did you find that $4.99 was a good price point for Indian content? And subsequently, when you reduced it to 99 cents, did you find a surge, or were the numbers similar? And if you have the information, do you know the breakup of consumption between mobile devices and computers?
So I'll address the price point for a second. That was a day and date theatrical release, which it's like an ultra VOD in the United States, something like that, which they do. Magnolia Pictures and some of the other distributors will actually do that, and the cost on that is extraordinarily high. It would be $12.99, $14.99 for that day and date in that theatrical environment. Remember, our target, it was geo-blocked in India, so we were reaching an expat community through the US, through the UK. So the idea of having a $14.99 price point for a short period of time seemed to make sense in that environment. Once we opened up India for it, obviously reducing that to a more cost-effective price point is definitely needed. And we're still struggling with where the right price point is for transactional VOD. What is the right number? Is it sub? I personally think, especially in this community, and to a certain standpoint in the U.S., sub 99 or 99 cent rentals is a great way to go. Redbox did amazing numbers and continues to do amazing numbers, taking that formula of 99 cents per day. So.
No, I mean, I just personally believe that just like when we do a theatrical India and we go about promoting that movie and a certain amount of money has been put in to advertise that movie, we geo-blocked India marketing was taken care of. I think at the same time what would have helped is to have also gone and spread that awareness, because a lot of the NRI community wasn't even aware. A lot of my audience on my Facebook page come from India, much more so than they've come from abroad. But having said that, I know that awareness of my work is there abroad. So all I have to do is put my face out there, and that would have brought in, I think, more numbers. I don't know how that affects the price range, but I'm saying a little bit of that also would help. And you were saying how
I agree. I mean, I think that we were kind of relying too much on the social presence and not reaching out, at least for that particular one, with a little bit more publicity in those particular marketplaces, announcing that something like this was being done. Yeah, it's certainly an experiment, and we continue to do these experiments and figure out what works and what doesn't. And that's the one thing that I tell everybody with digital is try anything, try everything, be open. And that's what's going to make you successful, is not being upset with the results, but trying to understand the results and what you can do differently. Do little modifications, try it differently next time, and just continue to build upon that and look at each and every release that you do as part of that learning curve.
Hi, a question from here. Over here, please.
Where are you? Sorry?
Oh,
Go
here
ahead.
in the corner. Okay. I think my question is relevant for all of you. There's been a lot of discussion on windowing, right? And windowing is basically access control. And my question is really, is windowing necessary? If you look at piracy and how quickly movies get downloaded or even television content, is windowing the only way we can monetize content? Is there a different model, maybe differential pricing, or any other way that we can effectively monetize content? Because windowing is fundamentally opposed to the whole spirit of free internet, etc. So I'm not sure if that's the only, we seem to be thinking only along a more traditional route. The more we say windowing, it's actually the traditional paradigm of media, right? So,
if I can, see, because windowing traditionally is associated with not available for some period of time. Not necessarily true. Proper windowing can mean the thing is available right there, but at the right.
Another thing is when Abhay has become a first weekend game, it's just that first weekend opening as we talk about it. And that works for your big traditional blockbusters because, yeah, they put in millions of dollars into marketing. They pretty much would book the whole show timings. They don't leave space for other films to play at the same time. And when you make non-traditional films, they're not, in prime examples, whether it's a Queen or a Kahani or whatever, they pick up by word of mouth. You can't put the same model for every film. So that's also to answer your question about the indie producers. Perhaps the window for theatrical and VOD in India would be to let your first weekend you'll get, but by the second weekend you might just be pushed out. So then you have another platform to then put your film up, because theatrical is clearly based on, okay, the first weekend didn't work. Now, unless you don't have strong word of mouth, you're just going to be pushed out.
We have time for one last question, gentlemen.
I'm not bothered. I want maximum viewership for my product. I'm not bothered about the theatrical things. Please help.
Ready to go. In fact, we've already done something similar in Italy, for example. There's been cases in which Sky Italia has released a movie day and date with theatrical. We've been proposing to release without theatrical.
We'll see you and keep the dialogue going.
Because I hope this she got the current. Sending it to my manager.
Abhay,